as well as some push-ups on the side. Good luck to you. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I don't hate them either, but I just don't really watch any of them. So I don't know. I don't think I really have one. Not even super familiar with all of them. I haven't even seen all of them, actually. I've seen most of them, but I haven't seen, I don't think, the new ones. You missed my paragraph? Let's see. Let's go backwards a little bit. Let me see if I can see it. Since I ship out for 11 Bravo in August.
I'm doing post-chaos live if anyone's interested.
Will I be deployed in a combat environment right after graduation, or when will I find out after basic? It just depends on your unit. If your unit's going to be deploying, then you could end up deploying, but not all units are deploying to combat zones. There's very few right now because they're not as active like in Iraq and Afghanistan. So the chances are a little bit slimmer, not impossible, but a little bit less likely with the current situation of what things are going on. So we are right at about 30 minutes. So we usually go a couple minutes over, do a few more questions, and then this will cut it off because these are only 30-minute live streams. Just the quick ones, down and dirty, get down to it, and then I'll be back on the weekend for the hour-long one. How much rank do you think doing future soldier training could get someone? I'm doing 27 Delta. Probably only a little bit. I think you only want you to be able to get to maybe an E2 or E3, maybe, and maybe even nothing. I don't really know for sure, but that's probably E3. I would imagine probably be the highest you could possibly go. You're not going to be able to get E4 just from doing a future soldier program. So somewhere's around there. Let's see. We'll do maybe like 2 or 3 more questions. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. Question says, my basic training AIT will be in one place. Will I have 2 graduations or 1? No, you'll still do 2. You would still have a graduation for basic training because you'll be doing basic training with a bunch of people that are not going to be your same MOS. Some of them will be, and then some will be other MOSs, and some of them are going to stay there for AIT and move to another unit, which is your AIT unit, because it won't be the same unit. You have a basic training unit and then AIT units. So you're going to go out. You're going to go off to AIT. You'll stay there to go do it. So you'll just take a little bus probably, or walk over to wherever it's at. And then other people who have AITs in other locations are going to end up getting flights and buses or whatever to those locations. And then you'll check in for that AIT. You'll have a start time.
Hey man, what's up? I'm a cadet to become a male civilian in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. What do you want to chat about? Blood Carlos? You can soon earn moderator. So drop a comment.
Times you might get like a weekend.
So, well, my first question is, which army? Do you mean the British, Irish, or American? Because those are the 3 I know about. Otherwise, I can tell you nothing much. So I can tell you about the American, British, and Irish. Okay, American. So which component? Reserve, active, or National Guard? Okay, active I know the least about. But I'll answer your questions as best I can. The MOSs I was interested in before I got medically disqualified was, it used to be a 12M, but, 12M and 12 Whiskey, which they used to be firefighter and masonry specialist, and then I also had an interest in doing 31 Bravo military police, but they discontinued that MOS for non-driver's license holding persons. So what was your question about? What questions do you have? Hopefully I can answer them for you.
Find an old question that maybe I missed. But most of the cases I've known of people that were in those situations, that's how they kind of had to work it.
Check out Post Chaos Live.
Let's see. Okay, this will be the last question. Go to this one right here. What happens if you get hurt in AIT and miss a class?
Does size matter in the army? Because I weigh 100 and I'm worried. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't think individuals are going to judge you, but if you're 100% you want to go active, there's no talking you out of it. I tell you go guard reserve first. Okay, you ship out August. Bravo. Since you already meet the minimums, you're 120 lbs. You'd have to give me your height, but I don't think people are really going to care. Mass. Uh, yeah, you'd have to give me your height for that to matter. Okay, you ship out August 11 Bravo. Um, yeah, I really don't think people are gonna care, to be honest. Okay, you're 5'7", 5'7". 12 times 5
It's 60.
plus 7.
It's 6.
So the minimum weight for you would be, uh, yeah, you're good. You're just at the minimum weight. Not exactly. I grew up in Britain for a lot of my life, but I do not hold a British passport, only a US passport. I was born in New York City, which is sort of like being born in Puerto Rico without the legal status. So that's kind of my life. I've been both a citizen and an immigrant for my entire life. But yeah, no, I have a British accent from living in England, London particularly. And I want to join the British Army to gain British citizenship, but only Ireland would take me, and I don't know. I just wasn't 100% sold on moving to Ireland. I mean, I'll probably do it after college, but if the British Army would have taken me, I would have just moved away to just become a full British citizen and serve my second homeland. Sorry if that's a more complicated answer. It's frustrating too to be a non citizen of a country you've lived off and on in for 20 years. But it was more like I spent like a month in summer and another month in the summer. And it's just kind of awkward. So, what are the odds of another America and Iran went to war? In our country. Oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense in our country. Uh, Depends on the situation. I mean, well, keeping it as apolitical as I can, I would say the country most likely to get involved, in my view, probably be I'd say it's probably going to be Australia or um, it's probably not going to be Britain. It's probably going to be because they really are not happy about getting involved in Iraq. So it's probably going to be, yeah, I'd say Australia is probably actually the most likely to get involved. Then, as kind of controversial as this might be, I'd say maybe Japan, depending on how their next election goes and when the Iran crisis happens. But I'd say it's mainly going to be the U.S., maybe Australia, just because Australia has such a close defense relationship with the United States, especially during Iraq and Afghanistan. So I'm just kind of going on previous inference. NATO might be involved in a very light capacity. Um, hmm. No, but it's mostly going to be the U.S. on its own. I'm curious, Blood Chaos, why did you choose be going active instead of going National Guard because you could have done a lot of the same stuff. No, I get that. That makes sense. 'Cause you're already locked in your contract. I guess you're already stuck with it. I'd tell you to go National Guard because you could still get in the fight, but you don't have to deal with all the monotony of being in the military 24/7. You only have to show up one weekend a month, but when there's a big war, you gotta go deployed, and you still gotta be 11 Bravo. But you're already signed up, so you'll know or you won't like it. Hey, if you love it, you can stay in. If you don't like it, you can get out after your contract ends. Plus, you can be working towards your 20. You'll be working on all these other things. Well, you say you wouldn't mind dying for your teammates, but there are two problems with that. One, you don't really know till you die because that's such an extreme thing. The loss of consciousness is one of the most painful things a human can endure. And two, I was talking more about the day-to-day suffering of having a terrible, being treated like garbage outside of training and deployments, having no real defined job and just doing kind of crappy base maintenance jobs. That's kind of more what I was warning you about, rather than the actual dying. Because I know victory, victory, victory. That's our battle cry. For duty, honor, country, I'd give my life. Hmm. How long's your contract? I mean, I'd still tell you to go, but man, kind of wish you just did guard. But damn, you kind of locked in. But I didn't qualify, so I guess you're kind of lucky. Okay, it's only 3 years. Yeah, you just let you know you get 6 months to ELS out. So if you really hate it and you can't stand it, doing another like month in, you can ELS if you just hate it. But assuming you don't hate it completely, you don't want to ELS, you once you pass the 6 month mark, you basically have to serve out your whole contract. You can take maybe 2 months terminal leave and that's it. I mean, you're probably gonna have a good time. So what rank are you gonna be coming in as? E1, E2, E3, E4? Okay. Uh, shit. Sorry about that, man. So do you have a spouse or are you single? Sorry. A little itch from my cornea. Not cornea, sorry, on my mouth. Oh, sorry, yeah, you meant firefighter. Yeah, those are really hard jobs to get. Honestly, I'd tell you to either, once you finish your 3 year contract, unless you really love being in the military, I'd tell you to either apply to become a civilian firefighter or sign up to become a military civilian as a firefighter in the military civilian side, then do like National Guard or reserves, or just not bother with re-enlisting Guard or reserve and just be a military civilian, where you're essentially in the military, but you're in the civilian side, so you're not obligated to carry a weapon. You don't wear a uniform. Well, you might wear a uniform, but it's not it's not a military uniform. It's a civilian uniform, like a suit or a mechanic's shirt or like a mechanic's overalls. The other option, which is kind of the least appealing for military, is like being a civilian contractor. Sorry, I don't really know much about them. I know they're pretty controversial. Um, it's kind of all I really know. They're just pretty controversial. Sorry about that. Then I think you're gonna like it, man. You get your 6 months to ELS if you end up hating it because you're later for any other reason you didn't anticipate. And like if I only had that in boarding school, I would have been able to say, yeah, I didn't like the experience. I could have just gotten out. But you get 6 months to change your mind and ELS out. Just keep that in mind. But assuming you don't have any issues, you're just gonna love it, and the time's gonna fly by. And I mean, it's a little tough starting out at E1, but assuming you're not married, you're gonna have to live in the barracks for a little while. Unless your parents have a decent amount of money, then they can just give you money to live off base. Yes, I am. I'm in New York City. So I do the live streams, whoever the other person who joined, and hopefully they stay. And I just like to answer people's questions. I get really detailed, help people out with their careers. Um, and yeah, sometimes get like 5 people in a live stream. That's really cool. Others, I just usually it's like 1 or 2 people, and just kind of cool. Hopefully, I get you as a subscriber, but it's your decision. Is it in your contract? Because it's not in your contract. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it might not happen. Unless you have it in your contract, there's no guarantees. Also, whoever liked the stream, thanks for liking the stream. And the second person, can you please drop a comment in the chat so I know that you're here? Hey, Jonathan Dickard, what's up? Ooh, blood chaos. You might just got screwed. Um, God, I almost wish you were on my stream a little earlier, because then I would tell you, make sure if you want something that's not like a guaranteed benefit for all, get in your contract. Otherwise, look, it may happen, but there's no guarantees. They can just say, yeah, well, it's not in the contract, doesn't matter legally. We're not obligated to honor it. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I mean, I wouldn't risk renegotiating unless that's the most important thing about your enlistment to you. I'd just say, look, they have a lot of candidates they throw out. I would just say, unless it's the most important part of your enlistment, just let it go. And you got screwed. I'm sorry. But you're infantry, so you're the most likely to get it. But I'd say it's maybe like a 40-ish percent chance you get airborne. Kind of sucks that the odds aren't as good as you'd want. I mean, they're better than my odds of getting Irish citizenship unless I serve in their military or live there. But, my odds are 30, 70. But, yeah, your odds are, oh, yeah, that's a different issue. If you're not of a certain weight, you might not qualify for airborne. Well, you still probably should try to get them to put in your contract, and then they can always, if you don't meet the weight certs, they can just reject you for it. But if they wouldn't put in your contract, well, then I guess you kind of just weren't going to get airborne in your contract. Then you just have to risk not doing it. But I mean, it's like a 40 some odd percent chance you get airborne in your contract. So it's not, I'm sorry, that you get to do airborne through your unit or whatever. You get to go to an airborne unit. So it's not terrible. And John Dicker, do you have any questions? I don't mind answering all Blood Chaos's questions, but do you have any? All right. So, no, I'd say just I wouldn't recommend gaining fat. I would say just work out and try to gain as much muscle as you can. Um, but yeah, you're probably gonna be doing cardio, so you're probably gonna be losing weight that way. So just maybe put on like 10 pounds, like maybe like the last month before you go to basic. You can what branch, John Dickard? What branch? If you want to be a military civilian, of course, they do not care. If you want to be in the Coast Guard Auxiliary or Civil Air Patrol, of course. State Guard, yes. How flat are your feet? That's the real question. If you pass everything else, then I'd say just give it a shot. Because if you you really need to talk to your recruiter. But if you have other attributes like a college degree or even, half of college done or a good ASVAB score, score, um, I'd almost say don't lead with a flat feet unless you've already been rejected or you've already been told it's unusable. Just show them all your other positive attributes, and then let them kind of figure out or tell them that towards the end of your second interview that you have flat feet, or tell them in the middle of your second interview that you have flat feet, and let them kind of figure it out, or maybe just wait to go to maps because there. But yeah, tell them in your second thing because almost just pretend you don't notice unless they bring it up is kind of the best policy in general. Unless it's like a huge life-threatening health issue, just not bring it up unless they ask you about it, and then tell them truthfully. But yeah, no, I'd say don't bring it up in the first meeting unless they specifically ask you about it. Then tell them in the second meeting. Um, I I tell you to go army. You could, and that can create problems. So maybe you do want to disclose it earlier to your recruiter. But if you reject at MEPS, it can make getting into any other branch harder. I didn't get rejected at MEPS. I got rejected beforehand. The Navy's a lot ruder about rejections than the Army, or even the Marine Corps. So I'd say the Air Force and Navy are probably the two snootiest branches about rejection. Oh yeah, that does suck. I have blisters from walking all day. Kind of sucks. I mean, I tell you, if you Yeah. I tell you, it depends on how much you want to be in which branch. Like, if you're dead set Navy or nothing, just go for it. Tell the recruiter if they ask, but tell them in your second meeting after you've taken the practice ASVAB. Because if you get a good score above 50, like really study hard for that. If you get a score above 50, they will work a lot harder to try to get you in. And if you get as long as you get above a 50 on the practice ASVAB, you will have a good opportunity. The next issue is, do you take any medication? Because if you do that, you got to be off it for at least 3 months to a year, depending on what it is. Okay, you're not on any medication. You know not to mention any illegal drug activity unless you've been convicted. And oh yeah, you should mention some of the fine disqualifications you have. Um, unless of course maybe I should private the stream because it's maybe not the best advice to give out. But yeah. Do you have a criminal record, Jonathan Dickard? No, I'm not saying hiding it. I'm just saying don't bring it up as the first thing because your recruiter, if you can score well in the as practice ASVAB, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Like a lot of recruiters won't work with you if they think you're going to be too much hassle or too many um, waivers. But yeah, if you can't hide it, you can't get away with it. So Jonathan Dickard, how far are you in education? Do you have a 30 college credits, a bachelor, an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, a high school degree, technical school? Like, what education do you have? Because you want to show all your best character traits and all your achievements, and then mention the waiver condition. If it's only one thing you need waived, I'm not saying you'll get it, but you have decent odds of getting waivered. Okay, you're in high school. Have you done JROTC or Sea Cadets? Definitely do Sea Cadets and then try to do JROTC. Also, what grade are you in high school? 11th or 12th or 10th? Okay, well, how old are you? Okay, what grade are you in? So here's seacadets.org. This is something that you can do right now to get in shape for the military. And you can do your training in Sea Cadets, and they'll let you do a lot of training. It'll also help you rank up faster when you're finally ready to join at like 17, 18, 19, 20. So definitely do Sea Cadets, and if you can, do JROTC as well. Um, and try to see if you can do it if it's not at your high school at another day at a crosstown school, like a different high school. But also, what grade are you in? Are you in? Okay, you're in 10th grade. Sorry, are you in going in? Are you going into 10th grade, or are you, or have you finished 10th grade? Okay, you've got plenty of time. You got like 3 years so you can finish high school. Okay, I also have to Google what's a future soldiers program. From what I can tell, it's a generally future soldiers training is just benefits to help you transition to being a soldier. You do some transitioning into the army. Lifestyle, there are training. Oh, so I don't know. I'm not sure actually if that's true because you might technically be in the delayed entry program is also the future soldiers program, so you might technically already be in it. You just might not be having much going on with your recruiter. Um, and I mean, if you're going into the 10th grade, going back to John Dickard, um, sorry, let me just answer Blood Corpse. Oh, sorry, Blood Chaos. I only really know about RSP and the National Guard. I'm not really sure how the Future Soldier program works, but I think it's just part of your delayed entry program in the U.S. Army, and it can sometimes get you up to E2 or E3. But since you're going in August, unless you are signed up, the Future Soldiers program, I'd recommend trying to sign up and see if you can get some new skills, maybe get E2. But yeah. So if you're in depth, you should just sign up. Let me pull up Future Soldier program. I don't know. I think it varies by state. You have to be the age of the legal age to buy a gun. And going back to Jonathan Dickard, I kind of wish I answered his question more. Do Sea Cadets um, and do Sea Cadets and JROTC, and that should help get you into the Navy. Sorry, I guess he had to drop out for whatever reason. Um, so you're 18. What state are you on? You're definitely allowed to have guns through the military, but I don't know about personal ownership. Okay. Well, I don't know where Jonathan Dickard went. I kind of wish he'd come back, but NC. Medical reasons. They said I was medically disqualified. If you had a college degree, they don't have to be able to get it. I'd probably get a no. I'm still wondering, Blood Chaos, where did Jonathan Dickard go? I was pretty upset about it. The first time I got my first letter of rejection, I was pretty upset. Then I went and changed my health routine around a bit. And it broke my heart more, and I was like, "You're never getting in." And I was just kind of more subtly disappointed when I got my second opinion that I couldn't get in. Yeah, so it kind of broke my heart, but I'm kind of moving on from it. It is awkward trying to explain what I was doing for a few months because I was a cadet, so I was sort of like sort of weird limbo position. I'm like, I was a cadet in the military, and I kind of hate being in civilian life despite not really having much time in the military. 56. What's a GT score? Maybe it's an active duty thing or something that happens later in the process. I don't know. Are you talking about the practice ASVAB? I got a 56. I didn't take the formal ASVAB. I only got to take the practice one. I was told I might have gotten a little bit higher on the real ASVAB just because they weighed it a little more favorably. You got 3 years and 17 weeks to decide. It's sort of like doing, in some ways, it's kind of like doing high school over again. Um, how far? I mean, if you just have high school education, kind of say you need at least an associate's to even be competitive anymore. Maybe even a bachelor's. No, yeah, we're probably gonna do that. I tell you to look on USA Jobs. Just gonna keep that in the back of your mind. You'll get veterans preference whether it's not for the government or it is a government job. Okay, so this is after you get out. This is like civilian jobs. You can fight fires in the Forest Service. It's actually kind of similar to infantry in a lot of ways. Um, you also have the opportunity to join the New Zealand Army once you're in the U.S. Army, which I think I recommend you check out doing. Join the New Zealand Army. Hmm, maybe you'd want to join the Australian Army then, mate. Um, all right. I'm sorry. I have to get going. Hopefully, I got a new subscriber out of this. Have a good one. Do you have any burning questions? Otherwise, I have to go. I'm sorry. Take care.